I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Right now, as you settle in, your sleeping brain holds a quiet secret, the ability to wake up inside your own dreams. You'll discover how that hidden awareness switches on, and understand why the dreaming mind knows more about itself than we ever expected. Welcome to Sleepy Mind Science. Wherever you are right now, perhaps lying still, eyes already heavy, thoughts beginning to drift and soften at the edges, allow yourself this gentle exploration. We'll journey through 100 psychology facts about lucid dreaming, from the first moment a sleeping brain realizes it is dreaming, to the deep regions of the mind where awareness flickers on like a lamp in a quiet room, to the science of what it means to be conscious at all. This thoughtful journey through the dreaming mind builds bridges between curious souls searching for the same quiet wonder. A gentle subscribe, like, or sharing your thoughts creates a pathway for more dream explorers to find their way here, and brings us closer to protecting this peaceful space for every sleepy mind who needs it. One sleepy soul at a time. Let yourself settle completely here. Feel your jaw unclench, your breath deepen naturally. You don't need to hold on to any of these ideas about dreams or awareness. Sense that soothing heaviness arriving now, like your consciousness slowly dimming its own lights, thoughts dissolving gently into the soft, welcoming fog of approaching sleep, safe and undisturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're floating where memories rest safely in gentle darkness. Let your mind merge with infinite peace. And now we begin. Tonight, we begin with something that has fascinated scientists for decades. The moment a sleeping person realizes they are dreaming. This moment is called lucid dreaming, and it is far more than a curiosity. It is a scientifically verified state of consciousness, confirmed in sleep laboratories around the world. Researchers discovered a reliable way to prove it before falling asleep. Trained dreamers agree to move their eyes in a specific pattern. Left, right, left, right. The moment they become aware they are dreaming, because the muscles controlling eye movement remain active even during the deep stillness of sleep. Those deliberate signals can be read by sensors while the rest of the body lies completely still. That agreed-upon signal, a quiet code sent from inside a dream, changed everything we thought we knew about the sleeping mind. The scientific confirmation of lucid dreaming arrived in April 1975, when researcher Keith Hearn, working with a volunteer named Alan Worsley at the University of Hull in England, captured those voluntary eye signals from a sleeping, dreaming subject. It was the first time in history that a message had been sent consciously from within a dream and recorded by scientific instruments, independently. Stephen LaBerge replicated and extended this work, beginning in 1978 at Stanford University, using full polysomnographic recording, brainwaves, eye movements, and muscle activity measured together. Each confirmed the same quiet truth: the dreaming mind can remain, in some measure, deliberate and aware. The eye signaling technique they pioneered remains the gold standard of lucid dream research to this day. A small, elegant conversation between a dreaming mind and the waking world, carried entirely through the movement of two quiet eyes beneath closed lids. Lucid dreaming happens predominantly during REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, This is the sleep stage where the most vivid, narrative-rich dreaming takes place. During a typical night of sleep, REM periods occur several times, growing longer with each cycle. The first REM period may last only a few minutes, while the final one, close to morning, can extend for 30 minutes or more. This is why lucid dreams are most likely to occur in the early morning hours. When REM sleep is at its longest and most intense, the brain during REM is, in many ways, running at high speed, generating images, emotions, stories. Even while the body rests in nearly complete stillness, not everyone experiences lucid dreaming. Research suggests that roughly 53% of people have had at least one lucid dream at some point in their lives. But regular lucid dreamers, those who experience it at least once a month, make up only about 23% of the population. An even smaller group, perhaps 1 in every 1,000 people, has lucid dreams almost every single night, entirely without effort. Scientists find this natural variation deeply interesting. It suggests that whatever allows the brain to wake up inside a dream, that capacity is unevenly distributed and not fully understood. Most of us visit the territory of lucid dreaming only occasionally, like travelers passing through a place we did not plan to stop. During ordinary dreaming, we accept almost everything that happens. A dog speaks. A city floats above a lake. A childhood home appears in the middle of a foreign country. None of it seems unusual. This is because the part of the brain responsible for critical thinking, for asking whether something makes sense, is largely quiet during normal REM sleep. The dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, a region sitting just behind the forehead, goes relatively offline when regular dreaming begins. It stops asking its usual questions. It stops checking, and so the dream feels real, no matter how unexpected its contents. This is why we rarely realize we are dreaming until we wake up, and the strangeness becomes obvious in daylight. In a lucid dream, something different happens. The prefrontal cortex, that same quiet region, partially reactivates. It wakes back up while the dream continues. And in that moment, the dreamer suddenly knows they are asleep, they are dreaming. The world around them is made entirely of their own mind. Brain imaging studies have shown that during verified lucid dreams, specific regions light up that are normally quiet during ordinary REM sleep: the anterior prefrontal cortex, the precuneus, the temporoparietal junction. These are regions associated with self-awareness, metacognition, and the ability to reflect on one's own thoughts. In a lucid dream, the brain is essentially watching itself dream. It is one of the most unusual things the human mind can do. The precuneus is a small region nestled in the center of the brain, tucked between the two hemispheres. It is involved in self-referential thinking, the process of turning attention inward rather than outward. During wakefulness, it is active whenever we reflect on ourselves, recall autobiographical memories, or imagine future experiences. During ordinary REM sleep, its activity decreases. During lucid dreaming, it reactivates. Researchers believe the precuneus may play a central role in the moment of lucid realization, the sudden, quiet recognition that the world one is inhabiting is not the waking world. It may be the region that generates the very feeling of knowing. A major study published in the Journal of Neuroscience in May 2025, led by researcher Kagate Demirel and colleagues at Radboud University Medical Center in the Netherlands, brought together brain recordings from multiple laboratories around the world to create the largest dataset of lucid dreaming brain activity ever analyzed. What they found was a distinctive neural profile, one that is neither ordinary REM sleep nor full wakefulness. Lucid dreaming sits in its own territory, with its own patterns of connectivity. The brainwaves of a lucid dreamer do not simply match those of someone who is awake. They are something genuinely different. A third state, a hybrid awareness that science is still learning to describe. That 2025 study found something else worth noticing. In the seconds, just before a dreamer signals their lucidity, before they even move their eyes, the brain begins to change. Gamma activity rises, particularly in the precuneus and prefrontal regions. Connectivity increases across large areas of the cortex. The brain appears to be preparing for awareness before the dreamer consciously experiences it. The transition into lucidity is not an instant switch. It is more like the slow turning of a dimmer, a gradual brightening of self-awareness that precedes the full recognition by several seconds. The dreaming mind, it seems, begins waking up to itself before it knows that it is waking. Scientists who study frequent lucid dreamers have found something interesting in their brains even during waking hours. The anterior prefrontal cortex, the region associated with metacognition and self-reflection, is measurably larger in people who lucid dream regularly. Research from the Max Planck Institute for Human Development showed that people who frequently have lucid dreams show more active prefrontal cortex function on metacognitive tasks while they are fully awake. Lucid dreaming, it seems, is not only a nighttime phenomenon, it is connected to how a person relates to their own thoughts during the day. The ability to watch oneself dream may grow from the same capacity that allows a person to quietly notice their own thinking while awake. And this connection between self-awareness in sleep and in waking life turns out to be one of the most consistent findings the field has produced. This connection between lucid dreaming and metacognition, the ability to think about one's own thinking, has been confirmed in multiple studies. A 2024 study published in Brain Sciences found that people who practice meditation regularly, particularly styles that cultivate moment-to-moment awareness and meta-awareness of mental states, are more likely to be frequent lucid dreamers. The overlap makes a kind of intuitive sense. Meditation trains the mind to notice itself, to step back and observe thoughts rather than be carried away by them. That same capacity, applied during sleep, may allow a dreamer to step back from the dream and recognize it for what it is, the observer and the observed, sharing the same sleeping mind. The temporoparietal junction is another region that activates during lucid dreaming. This area, located where the temporal and parietal lobes meet on each side of the brain, is involved in distinguishing self from other, in knowing where one's own body ends and the external world begins. During ordinary dreaming, this region is quiet. We merge with the dream without question, experiencing its events as if they are simply happening to us. During lucid dreaming, it reactivates, perhaps contributing to the dreamer's ability to recognize that the dream is a product of their own mind, not an external reality. The lucid dreamer, in a sense, rediscovers their own boundaries within a world made entirely of imagination. The amygdala plays a different role in dreaming than in wakefulness. During REM sleep, this almond-shaped region, involved in processing emotion and memory, is more active than usual. This helps explain why dreams carry such strong emotional texture, why they can feel sorrowful or tender or deeply real in ways that persist after waking. During lucid dreaming, researchers have observed that emotional intensity can shift. The awareness that one is dreaming appears to modulate the amygdala's activity, allowing the dreamer to engage with emotionally charged content from a slightly more removed perspective. This may be one reason why lucid dreaming is being studied as a possible approach to working with recurring nightmares. Recurring nightmares affect a meaningful portion of people who experience them regularly. They are not simply bad dreams. They are predictable, repeated experiences of distress that can interfere with the quality and depth of sleep over time. Research, published in 2025, has explored lucid dreaming as a possible tool in what researchers call lucid dream therapy for nightmares. The principle is straightforward. If a dreamer can recognize that a nightmare is a dream while it is happening, they may be able to alter its content, redirect its course, or simply face it without the same degree of fear. In studies of people with frequent nightmares, a majority who could achieve lucidity reported using their awareness to change or escape distressing dream scenarios. The sleeping mind, it turns out, may be able to offer its own form of quiet comfort. One of the most quietly significant demonstrations of what lucid dreaming makes possible occurred in 2021, when 4 independent research teams at Northwestern University, Sorbonne University, Osnabrück University, and Radboud University Medical Center worked together to achieve two-way communication with sleeping dreamers. The study involved 36 participants, confirmed to be in REM sleep, who were asked questions by researchers in the waking world and responded using prearranged eye movements and facial muscle signals. Not every participant succeeded, and success rates were modest across the sessions. But the phenomenon was verified across 4 separate laboratories using different methods. Simple mathematical problems were posed. Some dreaming participants answered correctly, while remaining asleep. The boundary between the dreaming mind and the waking world is not as absolute as it appears. Somewhere in sleep, there is a channel that stays open. The sleep cycle is organized into stages that repeat throughout the night. The first stage is a light drowsiness, the transition point between wakefulness and sleep. This is followed by deeper stages, and then by slow-wave sleep, the most restorative phase. Then comes REM sleep, with its internally generated dreaming and the quiet stillness of the body's major muscles. These stages cycle roughly every 90 minutes. Each cycle brings a slightly longer REM period. By the time morning approaches, the majority of each cycle is devoted to REM. This is why dreams are most memorable in the final hours of sleep, and why lucid dreams, which depend on the conditions of REM sleep, occur most reliably in the early morning. During REM sleep, the brain sends signals to the spinal cord that effectively switch off the voluntary muscles of the body. This state is called REM atonia. It exists to prevent the body from acting out the movements of dreams. A person running in a dream does not run in bed. A person throwing a punch remains perfectly still. This natural safeguard is what makes the eye signal technique possible in the first place. The eye muscles are among the few that remain partially active during REM, allowing dreamers to send deliberate signals even while deeply asleep. Without REM atonia, dreaming would be a far less private experience. Some people occasionally experience REM atonia while still partially awake. This is known as sleep paralysis, the unsettling sensation of being conscious but unable to move, often accompanied by vivid perceptual experiences. For most people, it lasts only seconds or minutes and resolves on its own. Sleep researchers note that sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming share some neurological territory. Both involve an unusual blend of wakefulness and REM sleep. Some experienced lucid dreamers learn to use the hypnagogic state, the threshold between waking and sleeping, as an entry point into a deliberate lucid dream. The boundary between states is, in that sense, a doorway rather than a wall. Dreams are not random. Research has consistently shown that dream content reflects waking experience. The people we know, the places we inhabit, the concerns we carry through the day. Psychologists call this the continuity hypothesis, the idea that dreams are not separate from life, but are continuous with it. A nighttime reweaving of daytime material. The concerns we carry through the day may reappear in different shapes during dreaming, reframed, softened, or still unresolved. Why grief can inhabit a dream long after waking. Why a person who spends hours thinking about a particular question may encounter some version of it in that night's dreaming. The dreaming mind is not separate from the waking mind. It is the same mind, working differently. The discovery that dreaming involves genuine brain activity, not simply a passive replaying of memories, emerged slowly over many decades. Early scientists assumed the sleeping brain was essentially switched off. Then, in 1953, researchers discovered REM sleep and found that the brain during that stage was almost as electrically active as during full wakefulness. The neurons were firing, the visual cortex was engaged, the emotional centers were lit. The sleeping brain, it turned out, was not resting at all. It was doing something that was only beginning to be understood. Each decade since has added another layer to that understanding, and yet much remains genuinely unknown. The dream is still, in important ways, a mystery. Dream recall. The ability to remember dreams after waking varies enormously between individuals. Some people remember detailed dreams almost every morning. Others report never dreaming at all. Though researchers believe most people do dream every night, the difference lies largely in waking at the right moment. Dreams are most fully remembered when a person wakes directly from REM sleep. If deep sleep intervenes between the dream and waking, the memory fades quickly. A dream journal. The practice of writing down what was experienced immediately upon waking has been shown to improve dream recall over time and better dream recall. Interestingly, predicts better success with some techniques for encouraging lucid dreaming. Reality testing is one of the most studied approaches to developing lucid awareness. The idea is straightforward throughout the day. A person regularly pauses and sincerely asks themselves whether they might be dreaming. They then perform a simple check, pushing a finger against the palm of the other hand, for instance, or reading a word and then looking away and reading it again. In waking life, a finger does not pass through a palm. Text, read twice, remains the same. In dreams, these simple tests often fail. The finger may move through solid matter. The text may shift or dissolve. If reality testing becomes habitual during waking hours, there is a small but measurable chance that the habit may carry into sleep. The dreaming brain, encountering something unusual, may pause and ask the question it has learned to ask. The MILD technique, mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, was developed by researcher Stephen LaBerge and remains one of the most studied approaches to intentionally achieving lucid dreams. The technique is practiced after waking briefly in the early morning. The person lies still and repeats a simple intention to themselves. A quiet, sincere mental phrase. The next time I am dreaming, I will remember that I am dreaming. They imagine themselves back in a recent dream, noticing some detail that would indicate they are dreaming, and becoming aware within that imagined scene. Then they allow themselves to drift back to sleep. While holding that intention, research has shown that MILD, practiced in the early morning, can increase lucid dream frequency, particularly when the person falls back asleep within about 5 minutes. The wake back to bed technique, often called WBTB, works by using the architecture of the sleep cycle itself. A person sets an alarm to wake approximately 5 to 6 hours after falling asleep, right when REM sleep becomes most abundant. After waking, they remain awake for 30 minutes to an hour, gently engaging with thoughts about dreaming and awareness. Then they return to sleep. Because the brain is primed for extended REM after being briefly awake, and because the mind has just spent time focusing on dream awareness, the conditions for lucid dreaming are meaningfully improved. Research has found that MILD, practiced during the WBTB window, is substantially more effective than MILD practiced at the beginning of the night. One substance, galantamine, has drawn serious scientific attention in the context of lucid dreaming. Galantamine is a compound used in some clinical contexts. It works by supporting the availability of acetylcholine, a brain chemical that plays a key role in REM sleep and memory. A double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in 2018 found that galantamine, taken during a WBTB window, significantly increased the likelihood of lucid dreaming. It also appeared to increase the reflective quality of dreams in general. Researchers are careful to note that it should only be considered under appropriate guidance. But the finding points toward the biological pathways that make lucidity possible and suggests that the chemistry of the sleeping brain and the quality of its awareness are more closely linked than we might expect. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each tiny cell inside. Trillions of processes working in silence. Heart beating, lungs breathing, brain quietly preparing its own inner world, all without your command. Notice the gentle sensations on your skin, in your muscles, along your spine, You are a complete ecosystem, diverse, self-balancing, always returning, gently, to rest. Now we continue. The question of why we dream at all remains one of the most honestly contested in neuroscience. Several theories have gathered evidence over the years. One holds that dreaming serves memory consolidation, that during REM sleep, the brain replays and reorganizes experiences from the day, deciding what to strengthen and what to release. Another proposes that dreaming is a kind of internal simulation, a space where the mind processes challenges, particularly emotional ones, in a context removed from their consequences. A third suggests that dreaming is a byproduct of the brain's nighttime maintenance work. Each theory captures something true. None fully explains the whole phenomenon. And what distinguishes lucid dreaming within all of this remains an equally open, equally interesting question. Memory consolidation during sleep is one of the best supported ideas in sleep science. Studies have consistently shown that people who sleep after learning perform better on tests of that learning than those who remain awake for the same period. The hippocampus, a curved structure deep in the brain associated with forming new memories, is particularly active during certain phases of sleep. Information encoded during the day is gradually transferred to longer-term storage in the cortex during sleep. Dreaming may be part of this process, a way of integrating new experiences with older ones, finding connections, building the larger structures of understanding. Whether we are aware of this process, as in lucid dreaming, may change how it proceeds in ways that science is only beginning to explore. The glymphatic system is a network of channels in the brain that becomes most active during sleep, particularly during slow-wave sleep. It functions as a kind of support mechanism, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to move through the spaces around brain cells, helping clear metabolic waste products that accumulate during waking hours. Research has suggested this system operates most efficiently when the body is lying down and when sleep is deep and uninterrupted. While researchers continue to refine their understanding of exactly how this process unfolds across different sleep stages, the full architecture of a night's sleep, cycling through all stages, appears to support the brain's overall restoration. Sleep, in this sense, is maintenance, the brain tending itself while the mind is otherwise occupied. The quality of REM sleep appears to influence emotional regulation in waking life. Research has consistently shown that people deprived of REM sleep become more easily unsettled by stressful events and less able to read the emotional expressions of others accurately. One hypothesis is that during REM sleep, emotional memories are processed in a neurochemical environment lower in norepinephrine, the chemical associated with stress responses. Over many nights, challenging memories may become less raw, more integrated, more bearable. Dreaming may, in this way, serve a quiet, restorative function, even when we have no awareness of it. And in lucid dreaming, where awareness is present, this emotional processing may take on an additional quality. The dreamer able to gently participate in what the dream is doing. The experience of time in dreams is unusual. While many people assume dreams compress long periods of experience into a few minutes of real time, researchers who have studied verified lucid dreams suggest that dream time and real time track each other fairly closely, at least for short periods. A task performed in a lucid dream takes roughly as long as the same task would take in waking life. What may feel like hours in a non-lucid dream is harder to verify, because without the ability to signal in real time, the dreamer has no way to anchor their perception of duration to the clock. Time in dreams, like so much else in the dreaming mind, is both familiar and slightly ungraspable. Lucid dreamers who can maintain their awareness consistently are sometimes able to influence the content of their dreams deliberately. To choose a direction, summon a person, change a setting, but this control is rarely total. Dream characters often behave in unexpected ways. Environments shift without warning. The dreamer's intentions may be partially realized, but not fully. Some researchers argue that this reflects the limits of the prefrontal cortex's reactivation during lucid dreaming. It wakes up enough to know the dream is a dream, but not fully enough to override all the spontaneous generation happening in the rest of the sleeping brain. The dream has its own momentum, its own logic, shaped by forces deeper than intention. The phenomenon of false awakening is closely related to lucid dreaming. A false awakening occurs when a dreamer dreams that they have woken up. They believe they have opened their eyes, climbed out of bed, and resumed their morning routine, only to discover that they are still asleep. It can be quietly disorienting to recall afterward, and sometimes deeply convincing. Experienced lucid dreamers learn to perform reality checks even after waking. Precisely because false awakenings can be so persuasive, the sleeping brain is remarkably good at generating the sensation of wakefulness. The experience of waking up is itself, it turns out, something the mind can dream. Tibetan Buddhist practices include ancient traditions of what might be called deliberate dreaming, sometimes referred to as dream yoga. These practices involve cultivating awareness during sleep, using the dream state as a space for contemplation and self-understanding. Scholars and scientists have begun studying practitioners of these traditions in sleep laboratories, recording brain activity during nights when meditators attempt to maintain awareness through sleep cycles. Some early pilot studies have noted patterns that appear to partially overlap with those observed in verified lucid dreamers. Though this area of research is still in its earliest stages, with small sample sizes and much still to be understood, the science and the contemplative traditions are reaching toward the same territory from different directions. Yoga Nidra, a practice whose name translates roughly as yogic sleep, involves guided relaxation to a state at the threshold between wakefulness and sleep. Practitioners describe an experience of deep awareness while the body rests in complete stillness. Researchers have observed that experienced Yoga Nidra practitioners show brain activity that does not match ordinary sleep or ordinary wakefulness, a middle state of quiet alertness, with reduced sensory engagement but sustained inner presence. While Yoga Nidra is not identical to lucid dreaming, both involve a kind of negotiation between rest and awareness. They suggest that the human mind has more flexibility in how it occupies the space between sleeping and waking than most of us have been led to believe. One of the newer areas of lucid dream research involves virtual reality. In 2025, researchers explored whether immersive virtual experiences before sleep could shape the content of subsequent lucid dreams. Participants were given virtual reality experiences designed to evoke feelings of connection and expanded self-awareness, Some participants were then able to incorporate elements of those virtual experiences into their lucid dreams, and to use the dream state to further deepen the kind of emotional exploration the virtual environment had begun. The boundary between constructed experience and dreamed experience blurred in ways researchers found both scientifically interesting and personally moving to witness. It suggested that what we carry into sleep, emotionally, imaginatively, may have more influence on the dreaming mind than previously understood. The chemistry of lucid dreaming involves a careful balance. Acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter deeply involved in attention and memory formation, plays a significant role in REM sleep and in the conditions that support lucidity. During REM, acetylcholine levels rise as norepinephrine and serotonin levels fall. This chemical signature may be part of what allows the dreaming mind to generate its interior world while the body remains still. Researchers have found that substances increasing acetylcholine activity can affect dream vividness and, in some cases, the likelihood of lucid dreaming. Dopamine, too, appears to play a role, with higher availability in certain brain circuits associated with more intense dream experiences. The chemistry of awareness and the chemistry of sleep are deeply intertwined. The lateralization of the brain, the tendency for certain functions to be managed more by the left hemisphere and others more by the right, appears in lucid dreaming research in interesting ways. The 2025 large-scale EEG study found reductions in beta power, specifically in right central and parietal areas during lucid dreaming, including in the right temporoparietal junction. This asymmetry is worth noticing. The right temporoparietal junction is involved in the sense of bodily self, in knowing where the self is located in space. Its modulation during lucid dreaming may relate to the dreamer's unusual experience of inhabiting a body that is simultaneously lying still and moving through a dream world. Two selves, occupying two different spaces at the same moment. Lucid dreaming has been proposed as a possible tool for mental health support in areas beyond nightmare treatment. Researchers have explored its potential relevance to conditions involving difficulties with self-awareness, reality monitoring, and emotional processing. Preliminary evidence suggests that regular lucid dreaming may have positive effects on mood upon waking, and that the experience of successfully navigating a dream with gentle, intentional awareness can contribute to a sense of calm, self-direction in waking life. These findings are preliminary, and researchers are appropriately careful in their interpretations. But the general direction is toward understanding lucid dreaming as something more than an interesting experience, as a practice with measurable, if modest, effects on the waking mind. Lucid dreaming appears to be somewhat trainable. Studies have shown that people who actively practice the techniques reality testing can increase their frequency of lucid dreams over time. The training does not work equally well for everyone, and success rates vary considerably between individuals, but the capacity itself does not appear to be entirely fixed at birth. The brain, presented with repeated intention and practiced awareness, can shift. This is perhaps one of the more encouraging findings in the field. The quality of conscious attention, even during sleep, is not simply given. It is, in some measure, cultivated through patient, gentle effort over time. the broader scientific understanding of lucid dreaming has implications that reach beyond the study of dreams themselves, because lucid dreaming represents a moment when self-awareness emerges within a state otherwise characterized by its absence. It offers researchers a rare natural experiment in the neuroscience of consciousness. What are the minimum neural conditions for knowing that one exists? What allows the mind to step back from its own experience and recognize it as experience? These questions matter not only for understanding sleep, but for understanding what it means to be conscious at all. And lucid dreaming is one of the few naturally occurring states that allows them to be studied in a verifiable, measurable way. You're still here, still listening, perhaps drifting a little between these quiet facts. That's fine. That's exactly right. Take a slow breath. Notice how your body feels just a little heavier than when we started. We're exploring the dreaming mind together tonight. You and I, and everyone else listening in the gentle dark. There's no destination, just the slow, soft movement of curiosity. Let's continue. The question of whether lucid dreaming can enhance creativity has drawn genuine scientific interest. The dream state itself has long been associated with creative breakthroughs. The brain, during REM sleep, makes unusual connections between concepts, associating ideas that the more linear waking mind might not link. In a lucid dream, this creative associative quality of REM combines with deliberate awareness. A lucid dreamer cannot plain to see. In principle, deliberately explore a problem, turn an idea over. Seek out unexpected combinations. Some artists, writers, and musicians have described using their lucid dreams as a creative space. Whether this translates into measurable creative improvement remains an open and genuinely interesting question for ongoing research. The distinction between low-level and high-level lucid dreaming is worth understanding. In a low-level lucid dream, the dreamer simply knows they are dreaming, but the dream continues largely on its own terms. The dreamer is aware, but not particularly directing events. In a high-level lucid dream, the dreamer maintains clear, stable awareness and can influence the dream with some intentionality. The shift from low to high lucidity is often described as one of stabilization. The dreamer learns to stay calm, to focus gently, to resist the pull of excitement, which can cause the dream to dissolve. The lucid dream is delicate in its early moments. Awareness, introduced too forcefully, can wake the dreamer before the experience fully forms. Lucid dreams can include a range of sensory experiences. Dreamers report seeing colors with unusual depth, hearing sounds with clarity, and feeling physical sensations, texture, temperature, movement, with a detail that can approach waking experience. Some researchers believe this is because the brain regions responsible for processing sensory information are highly active during REM sleep, generating experience from within rather than from without. The brain that creates a landscape in a dream is using many of the same neural pathways it would use to see an actual landscape. The dream, in this sense, is not a pale imitation of experience. For the brain producing it, it is experience. Flying is one of the most commonly reported experiences in lucid dreams. Many people who achieve lucidity in a dream find themselves choosing to fly and describe it as one of the most peaceful and expansive experiences they have had in any state of mind. a particular kind of lightness that stays with them after waking. Researchers note that flying dreams are particularly common in the early morning REM periods, when the dream environment tends to be most open and spatially expansive. There is no single explanation for why flying appears so consistently. Some researchers propose that it relates to the brain's unusual experience of a body that exists in two places at once, lying still and yet moving through space. Others simply observe that the mind, freed from gravity, tends to rise. The sense of smell in dreams is less common than sight or sound, but it does occur. When it does, it is often deeply connected to memory. A smell in a dream can carry the weight of a particular person, place, or time with unusual intensity. The olfactory system has a more direct anatomical connection to memory regions, like the hippocampus and amygdala, than any other sensory system, which may explain why smell, in both waking and dreaming, tends to carry such strong, emotional, and memorial resonance. A dreamed scent can feel like briefly inhabiting the past, not remembering it, but being gently returned to it, with all its particular warmth and quiet weight. Sleep paralysis, while disorienting for many people, shares neurological territory with the entry to lucid dreaming. In both states, the brain is in a hybrid condition. Elements of REM sleep and wakefulness overlapping. The key difference is how the person relates to it. In the transition to a wake-induced lucid dream, one of the more practiced techniques, the dreamer attempts to maintain awareness and remain calm as the body falls asleep, allowing the dream to build around them while consciousness persists. Experienced practitioners describe the entry as hypnagogic imagery. Colors, shapes, fragments of sound, gradually cohering into a full dream world they step into while still aware. It is described as one of the quietest and most unusual experiences the mind can offer. The connection between lucid dreaming and meditation is consistent enough that researchers now study it as a formal relationship. A 2024 study found that certain styles of meditation practice, particularly those emphasizing meta-awareness and the observation of one's own mental states, were associated with meaningfully higher lucid dream frequency. The relationship runs in both directions. Meditators lucid dream more, and people who lucid dream regularly show higher scores on measures of mindfulness and trait awareness during waking hours. Both practices, it seems, strengthen the same underlying capacity, the ability of the mind to observe itself without being lost in what it observes. In children, dreaming and occasional lucid awareness appear to be more common than in adults. Some researchers speculate that this is related to the greater proportion of REM sleep in younger people, and to the more open relationship children tend to have with imaginative and internal experience. As we grow older, the categories of real and unreal often become more settled, and the kind of curious wonder that allows a child to be fully present within a dream world may gradually quiet. The path back to lucid dreaming, for many adults, is in some ways a path back to a kind of perception they once had naturally, a soft, open awareness that is willing to ask the question, is this real? Some researchers have begun to explore the relationship between lucid dreaming and the broader question of consciousness itself. What is the minimum necessary condition for awareness? What distinguishes a brain that knows it exists from one that does not. Lucid dreaming is one of the few naturally occurring states that allows researchers to study the neural correlates of self-awareness in a controlled setting, because it can be verified objectively through the eye signal technique and studied in real time. Through that bridge, scientists are beginning to ask questions that once seemed entirely beyond reach. What happens in the precise moment a mind becomes aware of itself? And what does the brain look like when it does? Halfway through our journey tonight, and something has been quietly building through all these facts. Lucid dreaming is not just a fascinating experience. It is a window, one of the clearest natural windows the mind offers, into the question of what consciousness is and how it works. The dreaming brain knows it is dreaming. It holds that knowledge alongside vivid sensory experience, alongside emotion, alongside a body lying perfectly still in the dark. Two worlds held at once. Two kinds of knowing. The science of lucid dreaming is, in a sense, the science of the mind becoming its own witness. And that is one of the most quietly profound things a brain can do. Let each breath guide you to notice. Time is yours. A separate stream. Only you are living. Even now, the dreaming brain is preparing something below the surface. Memory and imagery gathering in quiet layers. This moment, this breath, this particular darkness is yours alone. Somewhere between the last thought and the next one is a threshold. You don't need to cross it intentionally. It will arrive on its own. Just rest here at the edge of things. And we continue gently. The sleeping brain does not experience silence. Even in the deepest slow-wave sleep, when the body is most still and waking consciousness has fully withdrawn, the brain continues its internal activity. Slow, synchronized waves moving across the cortex. The quiet rhythm of cells, communicating. Dreaming is one expression of this continuous activity. Lucid dreaming is another, a particular flowering of it. The brain never fully stops. It only changes what it is doing, and sometimes, in the gentlest, most extraordinary way, it turns its own attention inward and finds itself there. Looking back, the experience of lucidity in a dream is often triggered by something that doesn't quite fit. A detail the brain notices even in sleep. Flying through a familiar hallway, meeting someone who has passed away, a clock face with hands that move in the wrong direction. These incongruities become, for some dreamers, invitation. The brain that has practiced questioning reality begins to question it even in sleep. Something seems unusual. The question forms, and awareness, like a lamp slowly turned up, begins to illuminate the dream from within. Dream signs are the personal patterns that tend to appear in a particular person's dreams. The recurring settings, two people, or events that signal, for that individual, that they might be dreaming. A childhood home that appears too often, a consistent sense of being late for something, a particular quality of light. Experienced lucid dreamers often keep dream journals partly to identify their personal dream signs, so they can learn to recognize them in the moment and use them as invitations toward lucidity. The dream, in this view, is not random. It has its own recurring vocabulary, shaped by the dreamer's particular history and imagination. The stage of sleep just before waking, the hypnopompic state, is another territory where awareness and dreaming briefly overlap. In this transitional moment, images from a dream may linger as the mind slowly returns to wakefulness, creating a layered experience where waking consciousness and dream imagery coexist for a few moments. Some people experience hypnopompic impressions, visual or auditory traces that persist just after waking, clearly residual from the dream world. These states are generally brief and gentle. They are the mind releasing its nighttime construction slowly, like morning mist, clearing from a landscape that is becoming, once again, familiar. The relationship between lucid dreaming and ordinary sleep quality has been studied with care because there is a reasonable question about whether intentional disruption of sleep, such as setting an alarm for WBTB, could affect rest. Current evidence suggests that when practiced occasionally and thoughtfully, lucid dream induction techniques do not significantly reduce the quality of the remaining sleep. The WBTB period of wakefulness may actually enrich the subsequent REM sleep, making it more extended and internally active. The goal is not to sacrifice rest for the sake of awareness. It is to allow awareness to emerge within a night of genuinely good sleep. The precuneus, which we visited earlier, is particularly interesting in the context of lucid dreaming because of its involvement in what researchers call the default mode network, a system of brain regions that becomes active when the mind is not engaged with a specific task and instead turns inward. When we reflect on ourselves, imagine future possibilities, or revisit past experiences, the default mode network is typically engaged during normal REM sleep. It behaves unusually. During lucid dreaming, elements of it reactivate. The dreaming mind, at its most self-aware, is using the same neural architecture as the waking mind at its most reflective. Dreaming and wondering may be closer than they seem. Dreams often feel emotionally true, even when their content is entirely impossible. The tenderness in a dream of reunion is genuine tenderness. The peace that arrives in a calm dream carries a quality of warmth that remains in the body for a few moments after waking. Neuroscientists believe this is because the emotional centers of the brain, particularly the amygdala and associated limbic structures, are highly active during REM sleep. These regions process experience with the same biochemical tools they use in waking life. The emotion does not distinguish between real and dreamed. It simply responds to what the brain presents, and the dream, however impossible, presents it with full conviction. Some people with narcolepsy, a condition involving disrupted sleep regulation and sudden transitions into REM sleep, report unusually high rates of lucid dreaming. This makes sense. From a neurological perspective, narcolepsy involves an unusual proximity to REM sleep at unusual times, and that proximity may create more frequent opportunities for the hybrid states where lucid dreaming can emerge. People with narcolepsy and frequent lucid dreams have reported that the awareness available in lucid dreaming sometimes provides a degree of steadiness during otherwise disorienting experiences, the same capacity that can accompany distress, when approached with gentle awareness, can become something more navigable. The question of whether animals dream has been approached through observation and brain recordings. Rats studied during sleep show patterns of neural firing in the hippocampus that appear to replay the routes they ran through mazes during the day. Birds show REM-like sleep stages, Most mammals appear to have sleep stages that parallel human sleep, including periods of vivid internal activity. Whether any non-human animal ever becomes aware of its own dreaming, whether any creature has ever had something like a lucid dream, remains genuinely unknown. The question is not unreasonable. It simply waits for the tools to approach it. The first person to scientifically verify lucid dreaming through the eye signal technique was Keith Hearne, a British researcher who recorded the signals of a lucid dreamer named Alan Worsley at the University of Hull in England in April 1975. His findings were initially published in a specialist journal with limited reach, which meant they did not immediately enter the wider scientific conversation. Stephen LeBerg, working independently at Stanford University, beginning in 1978, used full polysomnographic monitoring, EEG, eye movement recording, and muscle sensors, and went on to publish the first peer-reviewed paper verifying the phenomenon in a mainstream journal in 1981. LeBerg went on to found the Lucidity Institute and devoted decades to studying, teaching, and expanding the field that both he and Hearne had helped open. The research programs they established continued to grow with each generation of scientists, building on that original signal sent from inside a dream in 1975. One consistent finding in lucid dream research is the role of intentionality. Dreamers who enter sleep with a genuine, focused intention to become aware are more likely to do so than those who simply hope for it vaguely. The intention seems to persist below the threshold of consciousness as sleep deepens, shaping the dreaming brain's activity in subtle ways that researchers are still working to characterize. This is, in a sense, a practical version of a very old puzzle. How does the waking will reach into sleep? How does a decision made while awake leave its trace in a dreaming mind? The answer appears to be imperfectly, but measurably. The intention leaves a trace that sleep does not entirely erase. The content of lucid dreams, like ordinary dreams, reflects the individual, their memories, interests, and recurring preoccupations. But lucid dreamers sometimes report a category of experience that feels distinctly different dream characters who seem to have their own responses, saying things the dreamer did not consciously intend. A conversation in a lucid dream can take directions that surprise the dreamer. This quality has fascinated both researchers and dreamers. It may simply reflect the vast, spontaneous generative activity of the REM brain, producing responses that the conscious mind did not specifically shape. Or it may point towards something about the nature of imagination that is not yet fully mapped. Shared dreaming. Two people having related or overlapping dream experiences has been a subject of folklore across many cultures. Science has not found reliable evidence that two minds can directly share dream content. Each sleeping brain appears to generate its own independent inner world. But the 2021 experiments demonstrating two-way communication with lucid dreamers introduce something different: the possibility of genuine interaction between a dreaming mind and external reality in real time. This is not shared dreaming in the traditional sense, but it is something perhaps equally worth noticing: evidence that the door between the dreaming mind and the waking world can, under very specific conditions, open slightly. The stability of a lucid dream is one of its most delicate qualities. Those new to lucid dreaming often find that the moment they achieve awareness, the dream begins to dissolve. Colors fade. The environment loses detail, and wakefulness reasserts itself. Experienced dreamers have developed approaches to stabilizing the lucid state, rubbing the palms together within the dream, spinning the body slowly, focusing gently on the texture of a dream surface. These techniques appear to engage the brain's sensory processing systems, reinforcing the REM state and extending the lucid experience. The dream must be tended gently, like a small flame in a light wind. The neuroscience of lucid dreaming has increasingly become intertwined with the neuroscience of consciousness itself. What does it mean to be aware of oneself? Lucid dreaming offers a naturally occurring, accessible way to study these questions. A state where self-awareness can be observed within a sleeping brain, where its presence and absence can be compared in the same individual. As measurement tools have improved, better EEG pre-processing, functional connectivity analysis, large multi-lab datasets, the picture has become more detailed. We now know that lucid dreaming has its own neural signature, neither sleeping nor waking, involving the coordinated reactivation of regions associated with self-awareness across multiple brain systems. The map is becoming clearer. What it reveals is both more complex and more nuanced than early researchers imagined. Some researchers have noted parallels between the neural signatures of lucid dreaming and those observed during certain contemplative or altered states. Both can involve unusual connectivity between brain regions, shifts in the sense of self, and changes in the quality of awareness. Both can involve unusual perceptual depth and a sense of the ordinary becoming newly interesting. This is not to suggest the experiences are identical. They are clearly different in many ways. But the overlap suggests they may be touching similar regions of a map that describes the edges of ordinary consciousness. Dreams, meditation, and deep rest may all be routes to adjacent territories in the geography of the mind. The application of machine learning to lucid dream research is beginning. Algorithms trained on EEG data can, with increasing accuracy, distinguish lucid from non-lucid REM sleep in real time. This real-time detection opens new possibilities, sending subtle cues to dreamers. At the precise moment, lucidity begins to help stabilize or deepen it. Wearable devices designed to deliver gentle light or sound cues during detected REM sleep are being studied with mixed but growing results. The collaboration between wearable neurotechnology and computational tools represents one of the most actively developing frontiers in this field, moving what was once only possible in a well-funded sleep laboratory gradually toward broader accessibility. The relationship between lucid dreaming and personal growth is a topic that blends subjective report with emerging evidence. People who lucid dream regularly often describe a gradual shift in their relationship to their own mental life, a sense that thoughts and emotions are things that can be noticed and gently navigated, rather than simply experienced without awareness. Whether this is a direct effect of lucid dreaming or a reflection of the kind of reflective temperament that tends toward lucid dreaming is still being worked out, but the reports are consistent enough and similar enough that researchers take them seriously. The act of waking up inside a dream may, over time, contribute to a quieter, more present relationship with the waking mind as well. The overlap between lucid dreaming and waking life has been noticed by thinkers across many traditions. The dreamer who realizes they are dreaming faces a question that the fully awake person rarely stops to consider. What exactly is the nature of this experience I am having? Is it my creation? Am I in it or witnessing it? Where does the observer end and the observed begin? These questions, when posed in a dream, can feel expansive. When carried back into waking life, they can shift something. The philosopher's question and the dreamer's question turn out to be the same question, both asking what it means to be here, noticing, in whatever world the mind is currently inhabiting. The biology of sleep remains, after decades of intensive study, still partly mysterious. We know sleep is essential. Extended wakefulness produces measurable cognitive and physical decline. We know the brain does things during sleep it cannot do while awake. We know dreaming occurs, and that REM sleep is somehow necessary for emotional and cognitive functioning. But the precise function of dreaming itself, why this particular form of internal experience evolved, what specific work it does for the mind, remains genuinely contested. Lucid dreaming, as a refined and verifiable form of the broader dream state, offers one more tool for approaching this mystery. Each careful experiment adds a small piece. The picture slowly, gently grows. In the ancient world, dreams were often understood as meaningful, un message, invitation, or expressions of the soul's deeper life. Many cultures developed systems for attending to dream content. Sleep temples existed in ancient Greece, where people would spend the night in hope of healing or guidance. The Iroquois people of North America had traditions in which dreams were understood as expressions of the soul's desires, to be honored and acted upon in waking life. Tibetan traditions cultivated conscious dreaming as a contemplative practice. Whatever the cultural frame, dreams have rarely been dismissed. They have always felt worth attending to. Modern science, approaching them from a different direction, finds them no less so. The experience of waking from a particularly vivid or lucid dream carries its own particular quality. For a few moments, the boundary between sleep and wakefulness is permeable. Images from the dream may persist. The emotional texture of the dream world clings. Some people report lying quietly in those moments, not wanting to fully return, reluctant to release whatever the dreaming mind had constructed. This liminal interval, neither fully asleep nor fully awake, is sometimes where the most useful reflection about a dream occurs. The meanings that rise in those first waking moments, before the day reasserts itself fully, can feel more honest than any interpretation arrived at later. Scientists have noted that a calm, steady state of mind tends to support more sustained, lucid dreaming. The excitement that can accompany realizing one is in a dream can easily tip the balance toward waking. The cultivation of lucid dreaming, at its core, involves a practice of gentle equanimity, the ability to remain present in an unusual situation without being swept away by it. This mirrors the practice of mindfulness in waking life, where the goal is not to eliminate extraordinary moments, but to receive them without grasping. The dreaming mind and the waking mind practice the same essential skill: presence, without urgency, awareness, without clutching. The frequency of lucid dreaming tends to be somewhat higher in younger adults. Though research on this is still developing, some researchers speculate that the abundance of REM sleep in childhood and young adulthood, combined with the brain's greater plasticity, creates more natural conditions for lucid awareness. As the decades pass, REM, sleep decreases slightly, and the brain's patterns become more established. But this is not a hard rule. People in their 50s, 60s, and beyond have reported discovering lucid dreaming for the first time, finding it an accessible and deeply interesting practice. The capacity, it seems, does not disappear. It simply waits, patiently, to be found. The answer to the question we began with tonight is taking shape. How does lucid dreaming work? When you sleep, it works through the partial reactivation of the mind's self-awareness circuits. The prefrontal cortex, the precuneus, the temporoparietal junction. Within the living, vivid, emotionally rich environment of REM sleep. It works because the dreaming brain is not fully dark. There is always a region, or the possibility of a region, that can still look at the dream and know it. And in that knowing, in that quiet recognition, something extraordinary occurs. The mind wakes up to itself. Inside sleep, not all the way, not with full waking clarity, but enough to know it is there, enough to understand, at least partly, where it is. You might be feeling tired now. That's perfectly fine. Breathe slowly. Your brain is still cycling through its own patterns, as it always does, as it has for every night of your life, like water returning to the sea, like breath returning to stillness. Your awareness is finding its way toward the deepest rest. You don't need to hold on to any of this. Let everything settle in its own order. Your mind knows the way. We're almost there now. The dreaming mind and the waking mind are made of the same material, the same neurons, the same chemistry, the same long history of experience. What changes between them is the pattern, the particular arrangement of activity that produces one kind of awareness or another. Lucid dreaming sits at the intersection. It is not quite dreaming, not quite waking. It is the mind recognizing itself across the boundary. A small, quiet moment that happens in the dark, requiring nothing but the willingness to notice. Every night, the sleeping brain enters a state of vivid internal experience. Whether that experience is remembered in the morning has no bearing on whether it occurred. The dreaming happens regardless of the dream's audience. In that sense, every person who has ever lived has been a dreamer. Every mind has built its private inner worlds in the darkness. Night after night, lucid dreaming is simply the occasional moment when one of those private worlds becomes briefly visible to itself. The practice of keeping a dream journal is, at its heart, a practice of attention. It says this inner experience matters. It is worth a few minutes of the waking morning. Over time, that attention changes not just dream recall, but the relationship between the dreaming and waking mind, making the night less opaque, the inner life more familiar. The journal becomes a record of a landscape most people never visit with awareness, a gentle map of the mind's private geography. Sleep is not the absence of experience. It is a different kind of experience, one that happens below the surface of ordinary awareness. The science of lucid dreaming is, in part, the science of learning to notice that other experience, of developing the capacity to be present in some meaningful way, even in states that ordinarily pass without witness. What becomes possible when the mind begins to attend to its own sleep is something that science is still learning to measure, and that dreamers have known, in their own way, for a very long time. The temporoparietal junction, which activates during lucid dreaming, is also involved in empathy, in imagining the perspective of another person. This connection is one that researchers find worth considering. The capacity to step outside one's immediate experience and recognize it as experience, to know that one is dreaming rather than simply dreaming, may draw on the same neural resources as the capacity to understand that another person has an inner life, self-awareness, and other awareness. Meeting in the same quiet region of the brain never entirely separates from the body during sleep. Heart rate slows, breathing deepens, body temperature dips slightly in the early hours. The muscles relax into their nightly stillness, and yet the brain continues its work. During REM sleep, the heart rate becomes more variable, almost as if moving gently alongside the emotional life of the dream. The brain and body, even in sleep, remain in conversation. The dreaming mind is not floating free. It is always tethered to the body that carries it, to the bed that holds it, to the night that surrounds it. One of the gentler qualities of the lucid dream state is that it can feel remarkably complete. Colors deep, the air carrying a quality of clarity that ordinary daylight rarely achieves. Researchers speculate that this depth may result from the absence of competing sensory input. Without the constant stream of actual perception, the brain's internally generated imagery can fill the available space fully, unhurried and present. The dream world, approached with quiet awareness, becomes a remarkably whole experience. The science of sleep is young. Systematic scientific study of it began barely a century ago. The discovery of REM sleep in 1953 was a turning point. The first verified lucid dream signal came in April 1975. The first brain image of an actively lucid dreaming brain in 2012. The first two-way communication with a sleeping dreamer in 2021. The largest multi-laboratory EEG study of lucid dreaming in 2025. Each decade adds something. The territory is vast, and the exploration has barely begun. Ordinary consciousness, the sense of being awake and aware, is something most people take for granted until it changes. Sleep, every single night, temporarily suspends it. That daily departure from waking awareness is one of the most fundamental facts of human life. We spend roughly a third of our existence in states that are profoundly different from ordinary waking. Lucid dreaming is a reminder that those states are not empty. They are inhabited, in their own way, by versions of ourselves we rarely meet. The night holds more than we typically give it credit for. While the day is organized around tasks and the demands of the waking world, the night allows a different kind of organization. Memory is sorted and stored. Emotions are processed and softened. The brain tends to itself, and in the dreaming hours, the mind plays, builds, explores, imagine. Lucid dreaming simply adds the possibility of occasional, gentle presence within that play, of being there for what the sleeping mind is doing. Rather than missing it entirely, there is something quietly worth noticing in the fact that awareness, the capacity that allows science to exist, that allows thought and meaning, is also present, in some form, During sleep, lucid dreaming demonstrates this most clearly. But all dreaming, even ordinary dreaming, involves the construction of experience. The sleeping brain is not dark. It is lit from within. And that inner light, that ongoing generation of a world from the inside, is part of what makes the mind the extraordinary thing it is. The practice of lucid dreaming, for those who pursue it, often involves a gradual loosening of the assumption that the only real experience is the waking experience. The dream, visited with awareness, offers its own kind of knowledge about memory, about emotion, about the nature of the self that appears in both worlds. This is not a claim that dreams reveal hidden truths in any mysterious sense. It is simply the observation that the mind, explored more fully in both its waking and sleeping manifestations, tends to become a richer and more interesting place to inhabit. Sleep, for most of human history, has been a private and unexplored territory, each person passing through it alone, without tools to examine it, without maps to navigate it. The science of sleep is, in a sense, the first attempt to bring some light into that territory, to follow the mind as it goes into the night and discover what it does there. Lucid dreaming is one of the most extraordinary things that territory has revealed, the mind going into the dark and finding a way to carry a small lamp with it, awareness, flickering softly. In the deepest part of sleep, the researchers who study lucid dreaming tend to describe a particular quality in the work, a sense that they are touching something that matters beyond the specific findings. Consciousness is the most intimate fact of existence, and lucid dreaming offers a window into it from an angle that no other state provides. The dreamer who wakes up inside a dream and signals their awareness with a slow, deliberate movement of their eyes is, in that moment, demonstrating that the mind can be present to itself even in sleep. That knowledge has implications that spread far beyond the laboratory. So how does lucid dreaming work? The answer, as we have traced it through these 90 facts, is something like this. The brain, during REM sleep, generates a vivid, emotionally rich, internally consistent world. The regions responsible for critical self-awareness, the prefrontal cortex, the precuneus, the temporoparietal junction, are typically quiet during this process. But in some people, at some moments, those regions reactivate, the light of self-awareness turns on, and the dreamer, in that moment, knows what they are, knows where they are, holds that knowledge gently in the middle of a dream and says, quietly, I am here, I am aware, I am dreaming, and continues, softly, anyway. The frequency with which this happens can be gently increased. Intention, set sincerely before sleep, leaves its trace. Attention, practiced during the day, carries over into the night in small but measurable ways. A mind that regularly pauses to ask whether it is awake becomes, over time, a mind that occasionally asks the same question inside a dream. The capacity is not fixed. It grows with care. It responds to the gentle, persistent invitation of attention. Just as the waking mind becomes more present through practice, so too does the dreaming mind. There is no single answer to why the mind is capable of this. Lucid dreaming may be an emergent property, a consequence of the degree of self-awareness that human cognition makes possible. A brain complex enough to know itself while awake is, in some circumstances, complex enough to know itself while asleep. The capacity for self-reflection runs deeper than wakefulness. It extends, in its own quiet way, into sleep itself. The moment of waking from a lucid dream often carries a particular quality, not quite sadness, not quite contentment, but something in between, a sense of having visited a place that was entirely real and is now entirely gone. The world, the dreaming brain constructed, its landscapes, its characters, its particular light, dissolves completely at waking, leaving only the impression. There is no returning to that specific dream. It was unique to that particular night, that particular mind, that particular moment. Each lucid dream is, in the most literal sense, unrepeatable. A world that exists once and then is gently released. Scientists who study consciousness sometimes use the phrase, the hard problem. The question of why physical processes in the brain give rise to subjective experience at all. Why does the firing of neurons feel like anything? Lucid dreaming does not answer this question, but it makes it vivid. Because, in a lucid dream, a person holds the awareness that their current experience is being generated entirely by a sleeping brain, and that awareness does not diminish the experience. The dream is still felt, still present, still real in its own way. Whatever consciousness is, it continues even when the dreamer knows its source. And so, drifting toward the close of our journey tonight, this is what the science of lucid dreaming offers: not a solution to the mystery of the mind, but an invitation to notice that the mystery is extraordinary. The sleeping brain, in all its quiet industry, is one of the most remarkable things that has ever existed. It generates whole worlds. It processes the emotional residue of days. It repairs and consolidates and clears. And sometimes, in its most unusual hours, it becomes briefly aware of itself in the middle of all that. A lamp flickering on in the deepest room of the house. Aware, present, dreaming, and knowing it. There is a long tradition, across many cultures, of treating the night as meaningful, as a time when the usual structures of waking life relax and something different becomes possible. Science, in its careful and patient way, is discovering that this intuition was not wrong. The night is different. The sleeping mind does things the waking mind cannot. And in the quiet hours before morning, when REM sleep is at its longest and most uninterrupted, the dreaming brain occasionally does the most extraordinary thing: it remembers itself. It turns its awareness inward and finds, to its own quiet surprise, that it is still there. The science of dreaming is also, quietly, the science of being human. Because to be human is to have an inner life that extends beyond the hours of wakefulness, a continuous stream of experience that runs through sleep and waking alike, shaping and being shaped by both. The dreams we have tonight will join the long, unrecorded history of all the dreams we have ever had, most of them forgotten, all of them real in their moment. They are part of who we are. They are the night's quiet contribution to the long, ongoing work of being a mind. For those who will eventually explore lucid dreaming, whether through patient practice or through the natural gift of an unusually self-aware sleeping mind. The first moment of recognition is described with a consistency that is worth noticing. The moment of suddenly knowing this is a dream. A particular clarity, a sense of the dream world becoming present in a new way, and then the choice, for those few seconds or minutes of awareness, of what to do with that knowledge. The dreaming mind, awake to itself, reaching gently into its own interior, curious about what it will find. The night, visited with this understanding, becomes a little different, not strange and not distant, but rich, full of the mind's own ongoing life. The hours of sleep, usually passed in complete unawareness, are also hours of deep and continuous activity, memory consolidating, emotion settling, the brain tending to itself, whether we ever achieve a lucid dream or not. The sleeping mind is working. It is doing something that matters, and it is doing it for us, with great consistency, every single night of our lives. And now, the final truth, offered as gently as the night offers its own. Consciousness is not only a daytime visitor. Awareness does not entirely depart when the eyes close. Something continues in the dark, something that dreams, that processes, that occasionally recognizes itself. The science of lucid dreaming has shown us that the mind, even in its deepest rest, retains the capacity for self-knowledge. That capacity is one of the most extraordinary things a brain can do. And it is yours? It has always been yours, waiting, like a quiet lamp in the deepest room, for the moment you remember to look. And so, our quiet journey through the science of lucid dreaming comes to a gentle close. We began with that simple eye signal, the dreamer's quiet code, sent from inside a dream to the waking world. First recorded in a sleep laboratory in England in April 1975, and discovered that behind it lies one of the most extraordinary things a brain can do: know itself. Even in sleep, we traveled through the prefrontal cortex, flickering back to life inside a dream. Through the temporoparietal junction, rediscovering the boundary of the self. Through the ancient practices of Tibetan dream yoga and the newest findings from the 2025 multi-laboratory study at Radboud. Along the way, something emerged. The dreaming mind and the waking mind are not two separate things. They are the same mind, breathing in different ways. Lucid dreaming reminds us that awareness is not simply a daytime property. It is something the mind carries, even into its deepest rest, sometimes quietly, sometimes with great clarity. Much of what the sleeping brain does unfolds in silence, unwitnessed, unknown to the waking self. But the capacity to witness is always there, patient and waiting, ready to recognize the dream for what it is the moment conditions allow. Without sleep, the mind cannot tend to itself. Without dreaming, the emotional life cannot find its footing. And without the occasional, extraordinary gift of noticing, of knowing, even in sleep, that one is there, something in the mind goes unexplored. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about unity, of every thought you have ever had, every dream you have ever moved through, without remembering. Every night, your mind has quietly done its work. You are not separate from that process. You are part of it. The dreaming brain, and the waking brain, both made of the same matter, both reaching toward the same thing. Let your entire being dissolve into the gentle darkness behind your closed eyes, where the dreaming mind waits with its quiet, patient light. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left, only rest, only this. This gentle exploration of the dreaming mind belongs to everyone searching for a quieter night. A soft subscribe or share could carry it to another restless mind. Someone lying awake right now, wondering about their own inner world. It only takes a moment, but it means the world to us, one sleepy soul at a time. But there's no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, not across miles or centuries, but inward, into the territory of the sleeping mind, into the science of awareness and the wonder of dreaming. You can allow these thoughts of lucid dreams and quiet consciousness to fade now, like the last vivid images of a dream dissolving at the edge of morning, leaving only the soft, dark calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if the weight of the entire night is settling around you gently. Not pressing, only holding. If sleep comes, let it carry you the way a lucid dreamer lets the dream carry them. Without resistance, without destination, simply moving with the current of the night, smoothly and inevitably, into a place where time and weight no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, the science of the dreaming mind will still be unfolding. REM, sleep will still arrive, as it always has, in the quiet hours before morning. But tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, sleepy soul. And remember, somewhere in the deepest part of sleep, there is a light that has never gone out. Good night.